Party with your host, Dustin Rybka.
Hello and welcome to Sex Party. I'm your host, Dustin Rybka, and on this week's episode, I am joined by a legend, Mrs. Robinson. She's 53 years old. She has taken the OnlyFans world by storm. She's taken the mainstream porn world by storm. But how did she get here? How did she start? Why did she start an OnlyFans? How did it lead to all of this craziness? She basically broke the internet with Johnny Sins. She is going to tell us everything. On top of that, she is a marketing mastermind. She is a genius with social media. She's going to give tips not only on OnlyFans, but how to build platforms on TikTok, on Instagram, on everything. I'm just going to get you over to the interview and just know that at the end of the conversation, Mrs. Robinson goes through the burner. So without further ado, this is my conversation with Mrs. Robinson.
This week's conversation.
Mrs. Robinson, welcome to Sex Party. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing great, Dustin. Thank you for having me today.
Yeah, I am excited. I'm honored that you're here. I've wanted to have you on the show a long time. I think that your story is really cool. And I'm sure, because you've done all the big podcasts. I'm just a baby child podcast at the moment, but, check with me in a year. I'm sure you're sick of talking about it, but I think for my audience, like your story has so much to it that maybe some people are missing. So we'll probably go over that. Absolutely. Or whatever. So for the people who don't know who you are, they're like, what's he doing now? And they've never seen you, never heard your voice. Could you talk a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Sure. What I do now or what I did do? Or both?
Yeah. So I think if you just want to talk about who you are and what you do now, and then we'll go back and tell the tale.
Sure. Yeah. So I am a 53-year-old content creator and porn star, and I work with production companies, browsers, milfed.com, some really awesome directors. I am on OnlyFans. I have a pretty booming page there and a pretty loyal audience. I've been on OnlyFans it's 3 years this month. And I do a lot of content creation on TikTok, on Instagram. I'm extremely engaged on social media, and I am a mom. I have 2 kids. My daughter's 26. My teenager is 17, almost at the finish line. And I have a golden doodle, Rudy, and that's it. I'm single. I don't date. Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, and the thing you touched on it briefly, but like your social game, like your whole brand is like really, it feels really full because you do have the OnlyFans thing. You do have like obviously the Mrs. Robinson thing. But then on top of that, there's also the porn thing. But on top of that, like you are putting out like TikToks that are fun, that are like catchy. Do you have like a team of people that's helping you do that? Because it's a lot of stuff.
It is a lot of stuff. I don't have a team that helps me with TikToks. My daughter does help me because even though I'm 53, I've got some boomer tendencies, but that's the allure. And that's what I have found out. When I got into the industry, I thought every man wanted younger women. And I have really found out that's not the case. And they love the authenticity on TikTok of me just being a goofball and being silly. And so I don't have help with that. I do have, I've had a couple of different teams over the last 3 years, media teams that help me with a variety of aspects, media buying. I buy and sell media across different social platforms. I do promotions, buying and selling of that. And I don't do that anymore. My team does that.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I ask is just it almost appears, because sometimes brands, whether it's Sex Party or Coca-Cola or whatever, right? And like everybody has their own brand nowadays. It's the name of the game. And some brands feel more full than others. And yours just feels like really solid, but like doesn't take itself too seriously. And that's just huge in social media because it it makes me want to not just watch one TikTok, but watch 15, right? And then, oh, she's over here, whatever. So I just wanted to know personally, like, you know, how I can step my fucking game up. So that's why I wanted to ask you that. Okay, so let's crack into like your story, who you were, how you went from, you know, I don't know, quote unquote, normie person, right? To like this superstar you are now. But I'd love to start at the beginning if you don't mind.
Sure. Yeah, that is such a loaded question in a lot of different ways. I don't know where you've seen any of my story, but I'm from Western Pennsylvania. I went to college. I went to grad school. I got my master's degree. I was a teacher in my 20s. Married, divorced, and then I ended up working in corporate America, and I started off selling newspaper ads. That's how long ago it was. And ended up working with small companies that needed to advertise, and ended up loving it, doing pretty well in it. The internet kind of boomed, and that became the way to advertise. And I really found something I was good at, and that had been my biggest issue most of my life, finding the thing that I was really good at. And I ended up getting into social branding, social strategy, digital advertising. If you've ever seen Mad Men, I was in the Mad Men Don Draper world as a woman, working my way up, completely authentically working my ass off. And I did really well. I'm so proud of my career. And when COVID hit, I was just about to turn 50, and I was at this bonfire, and this guy, we'll just call him that now because I am legally not allowed to say anything disparaging about him, but
one of those, yeah.
Yes, but anyway, he asked me, and you know, I do owe him a lot. Sorry, the police are driving by my house.
They're sending the cops right now.
Oh, it's an ambulance. Oh, I hope everyone's okay. So, and my windows are closed. That was really loud. So
no, it happens all the time.
This guy, I really do owe it to him for bringing this to my attention. He asked me if I ever considered doing MILF porn. And, you know, I was like, never. I have children. I'm in corporate America. I have my master's degree. And he was like, okay, cool. He's like, yeah, because, you know, my wife's making like $300,000 a month doing this thing. And I was making a very, very good living doing what I was doing. And at the same time, I was getting burnt out. I was on a plane every week, going to different places, meeting with clients. It was very exhausting. I'm a single mom. And I hated leaving all the time. And one thing led to another. And I looked into it, and I ended up having a conversation with my kids. My younger child was 14 at the time, and we're very open in my house. And it's always interesting because when I say this, I see the reactions usually on YouTube, where people are like, that is definitely not what her teenager said. But I said, what do you think about mom doing OnlyFans? And my teenager said, go get the bag, mom. And I said, well, I don't think you understand. Do you know what it is? Like, my kid's like, yeah, everybody knows what it is. And I said, I'm going to be naked on the internet. And what, aren't you worried about getting bullied or what people think? And it was strangely, one of my most proud moments as a mom, because my kid said, Mom, why do you care what people think? Because I don't. And I thought, wow, okay. And I spent my entire life caring what everybody thought of me. And like to such a degree that I lived my life in such a way that I wouldn't make a decision unless it fell in, you know, I toed the line, unless it was not perfect, but what I was supposed to do. And my kid never got bullied. Nobody ever bothered my kid. And it actually became quite a flex. When I shot with Johnny Sins, these kids were like, oh my God, your mom shot with Johnny Sins. And my kid's like, yeah, so what? Like, and then that was it. That was like the extent of it, but it was more like, you know, a fist pump. But I started with the OnlyFans, and one of the main reasons I did it, not one of the main reasons, but how I tackled it, I did for my brand what I had done for Fortune 500 companies for, you know, the last decade of my career. And I built Mrs. Robinson from the ground up, and this, you know, unheard of 50-year-old woman coming out of Western Pennsylvania. And I applied every strategy I use with these companies, and it was working, and it was so cool. And within 6 weeks, I was everywhere. And I was like the anti-Andrew Tate, like coming out of everything he says is horrible, I was doing. And, but he came out of nowhere. And I mean, maybe he has a background in marketing and branding. And so that's when I knew what I had to do. And in order to make this work, I wasn't sure because I still wasn't sold on the idea that porn watchers were watching older women. And when I looked at the data and analytics, because I'm such a nerd, I'm like, whoa, wait, like MILF, cougar, stepmom, teacher, those are all your top search terms on any porn site, more than teen, more than hentai. They filter, sometimes it's hentai, but those older demographics are always in the top 5. So I knew going by the data, I would be okay, but I didn't realize how okay. And then I just, Kieran Lee found me on Twitter. I posted something about Brazzers, and within a month I was in LA shooting for Brazzers, and, met Johnny Sins and Kieran and Cherie DeVille and Alexis Fox, Nikki Benz. They've all just been so wonderful. And it just kind of took off. It was really wild when it was happening. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I remember shooting my first Browser scene, and I was like a big hoe in high school, and I didn't have a problem like fucking on camera. And I shot my first scene for Browsers with Van Wild, and I never once felt uncomfortable. And in my head, I was like, oh, man, I was training for this. All of high school.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Go.
Well, no, and that whole thing that you just said, the audience probably doesn't realize, but all of that took place in a short amount of time. So you started in OnlyFans in 2020 or 2021?
I launched my free page in April of 2020. Mm-hmm. And then I launched my VIP page July 12th of 2020. And by the end of August, I was in the very top 0.01% on OnlyFans.
Well, July 12th is my birthday, so that's cool.
That's why it works.
You picked a great day. Yeah. But I mean, that is, and then when you broke through to mainstream porn, right? When when Brazzer sent out for you, that was 22 then or 21?
That was 2020.
Wow. See, this is what I mean. This is like a very short, like when you say you took off, you really fucking took off. So I want to jump back. Mm-hmm. When you were getting, because a lot of the people who listen to the show, watch the show on YouTube, they are women and some men too, but like that will reach out and say, I really want to do OnlyFans, but I'm nervous. I don't want to be shamed and this and that in the comments. And if I do it, how do I then promote it without using my personal Instagram stuff and all of the things? So when you were mulling this over, the guy says, MILF, blah, blah, blah. And you start thinking about it. You're like, well, shit, actually, right? Were you like incredibly nervous? Were you okay with it? Like, how long did it take to like just go for it? Did it take a couple days, couple weeks?
I mean, I really took my time with it. I talked to a therapist about it. I talked to my 3 friends who call me on my bullshit, and they all laughed because when I tell you, I wasn't a Karen, but I was very momish, like you would never have expected this from me ever, like at all. And like I was chaperoning choir trips and stuff like that. And I talked to everyone, and I don't remember who it was that said, who is the worst possible person that you could think of that could find out, and how would you feel? And, mulling that over and talking to my friends, and, my kids were fine with it. It was really when my younger child, teenager at the time, said, why do you care what people think? And it kind of was a punch to the gut for me because I cared for so long what people thought. And I said, you know what? Fuck it. I'm doing it. And it was very cathartic for me because I was so uncomfortable doing something that went against the grain of what society found to be acceptable. And then I became more, it's so cliche. I hate to say the word empowered. I was empowered, but it was more than empowerment. It was more because I had found out who a lot of people are that are in my life. my real solid people are still here from day one. But there were a handful of them that really surprised me. They stopped talking to me. I can't believe you're doing this. And I thought, you're a fucking slut. Like, your boyfriend beats you up in front of your kids. He's selling drugs out of your house, and you have sex in front of your children. And there's something wrong with what, I'm sorry, that was terrible.
I love that you said that. Yeah. We love shit like that.
But it just was like, why is that okay for you and not okay for me? I'm not doing anything to harm anybody, not hurting my children. And that was the biggest thing. I didn't want it to affect my kids, and it didn't, and it's not. And so, but it was very hard. It was about 3 weeks of really thinking about it. And then I'm like, hey, I'm in. And started my socials and started the free page and loading content in. And it was so wild. I was working like 19-hour days, 20-hour days, non-stop. And it was far more involved than what I had been doing. And I knew what was required of me because I had done it in a different aspect, and now it was my brand. So I wasn't about to fuck it up.
Yeah, that's how I feel about my show. Like, people are like, we're going to the fucking, and I'm like, I'll be there like late, but I'm stuck behind my, well, why? And I'm like, you just, until it is something that is you, people just don't, it's just another level of like, to use another cliche word, there's just another level of hustle. And that's what I love about you, is that you were scared and you did it, right? But like, again, going back to what I said in the beginning, like, you can see that shit in your TikTok. Cause like some, and I think it's so fucking cool. Like Adriana Chechik, she does it. Like she'll do adult, she'll do OnlyFans, whatever, but then she'll just go stream in a cool room and like these other things. And you can tell that is like you're building along the side to boost your brand up. And I just think that with you, like her, it comes through that way, where it's like you're having fun doing the content's fun to watch, and you can tell that you are working those 16, 17, 20-hour days, that comes across, which is really, really cool. So when you got over to OnlyFans, so like, what was OnlyFans day one like? Was it a big surprise, like, holy shit? Or what did you first post? Did you have guidelines where you're like, I'm not going to do any sex stuff, it's just pictures? Or did you just go for it? Or how did that work?
Balls to the wall, baby. From the gate.
Hell yeah.
Because what I did was I looked at what was selling. Again, it was data driven, and here's what's selling, here's what I need. I had a punch list, like, okay, I'm going to get this, and this. And I loaded everything in, because you don't want to come to a page that hasn't really posted anything yet. And I really built up the launch from the free, the free page. The free page killed it too for a while. The VIP really catapulted me, but I built it up on socials. I was already loading things into OnlyFans when I'm posting on, back then we could say on Instagram, hey, I'm thinking of starting an OnlyFans page. Yeah. Meanwhile, it's already ready to go. I just have to hit the button.
Right.
And posting on Twitter. And Twitter was really hard to grow. That was a really hard platform.
Yeah, it is still tough, I think.
Yeah. I mean, once it took me 2 years to get over 100,000 followers. And I was at like 140. And then Elon came on board, and now I'm at 124. I mean, either people were like, she's really getting too old for me, or Elon pulled the plug on any fake traffic that found its way there. But I digress. So I was posting, because it was the free page. So you couldn't see anything on the wall. You had to buy everything. I was active in the DM, sexting. But when it started growing and growing so fast, by day 3, I had 800 DMs. And I was like, I'm never going to be able to leave my house again. This is going to take me forever.
Right.
Yeah. But and then the VIP page, once I launched that, it was crazy. And, to be fair, it was during COVID. And OnlyFans is a very different world now that people are not in their house, guys were stuck in the house jerking off, and
Mhm.
they're not there anymore. I mean, they are, but not all of them at all
Right.
times.
Right.
So the money, I called it funny money because it was outrageous. I just was like, this is insane. And I mean, there were a few months I thought, wow, this is great. And it didn't hit me right away. Like, oh yeah, it's not always going to be like this. And but as they were like loosening COVID restrictions, everyone's revenue is going down.
Right.
But there's definitely a correlation to COVID and success on any of the adult platforms. And
Totally.
it's been a lot more challenging. I don't believe for a second everyone's making as much money now as they were during COVID. It's impossible.
Right. I mean, do you feel comfortable saying like what you made in your first couple of months on OnlyFans?
So I launched in July, and by September, I was making six figures by a month. July, August, I made six figures that month. And then September, October, November was over 300,000 a month. And my best month was 400,000.
Wow.
Just on the
Congratulations.
VIP. Yeah.
No, yeah,
you.
that's fucking amazing.
It's
And
crazy.
yeah, and
it's not that now. Believe me, it's nowhere near that. And I'm working like twice as hard to.
Totally.
But
yeah. So when you started there, you had a free page. And so for people who don't know, you could sign up for free, and you're sort of posting like teaser, like fun, sexy pictures or whatever. And then if they want to, they can go over to the VIP and subscribe. And then also like they could buy like videos from you or even more explicit pictures or whatever, or make like they could order something off your menu or do a custom, right? So were you doing like sex right away, or was it more masturbation? Was it everything, or did you ease into stuff, or did you just were doing it all right away?
Did it all right away. Yeah.
See,
I had a friend who did me a solid, and people are always like, you did him a solid. I'm like, listen, here's what you need to do. I'm going to pay you because then you don't have any rights to the pictures and the videos.
Sure.
And this is what we need. Here's our list. And he was like, shit, like, you have a list? And I'm like, yeah, the list. Okay. Don't fuck it up. Because I was very regimented with it. Oh my gosh, we would laugh so hard. I haven't talked to him in probably a year. I haven't seen him, but anytime I do, we just laugh because it was very regimented. But no, I started with what everybody wanted. I really researched what was most requested, and I made sure I had almost everything. I don't do anal. So, I made sure I had everything. I do solo anal, but not anal sex. But, we were going to raffle off my anal virginity on Twitter once. I was talking, somebody offered it to set up some kind. I'm good. I'm not interested in that kind of way of doing it, but thank you.
I mean, I feel like the cash would just astronomically just fucking straight up in the air. So, you never know. But yeah, I mean, you have to do it your own way, how you have set out. And I think there's a lot of fascinating shit here. And I think on OnlyFans, were you seeing the same data that you were like on Pornhub or wherever you were getting like so is it all like MILF, teacher, stepmom, whatever it is, the same stuff on OnlyFans that was popular?
Yes and no. So this is my assessment based on the data that on OnlyFans, there are more mommy lovers because they're not going to Pornhub, jerking off to mom, and then, going out for the night. Mm-hmm. Mom lovers want to talk to mommy. They want to talk to stepmom. They want to talk to their favorite teacher. And OnlyFans is a very different platform from Pornhub. You hear guys say all the time, well, why would somebody pay for that when you get it free on Pornhub? Because it's not the same thing. Pornhub is where you jerk and go. OnlyFans is where you come and you meet people and you have these, I've had some very intimate conversations with people about very deep shit on OnlyFans. And I've been there for people who have, been in situations where they don't have family or they don't have a significant other, and talking one guy through surgery and talking to him as he's going in, he's in the waiting room. And I'm like, it's going to be okay. But, my fans on OnlyFans are really into older women, much I would say more than Pornhub, and you can't run the platforms the same. And I've heard stories about, you know, former Pornhub workers coming over to OnlyFans to manage, you know, agencies and management accounts, and they don't run their OnlyFans pages. They run them like it's Pornhub, and it's not the same thing. So I don't know. I just look at it as a much deeper connection. And if you don't like having connections with people, I would say don't do OnlyFans.
Right. Yeah. I mean, because at the end of the day, even just like busting a nut is like some little connection that you're having with that video, with that thought, with that person you're fantasizing about. And even if it is just Pornhub, you're jerking one out, right? You're getting off and moving on with your day. There's still a bit of a connection in that. And I think that you're absolutely correct that on OnlyFans, it is more intimate. It is more like a relationship. And you can sort of develop that over time and ask for weirder things once you feel comfortable and whatever. And who doesn't love weird shit? We all love weird shit.
Yeah.
And you know,
yes. They all started with, this is going to sound really weird. And like, it's really not. It's really not going to sound weird. We did Barstool Sports, and I don't know if you saw that one, but that interview. I talked about the guy who likes the key in his pee hole.
Okay, no, but you can tell that story here all day. We'd love to hear that story. The guy who likes the key in his pee hole.
Yeah. And I'm not making fun of him. I don't get it, but that has so far been my most outlandish request, is to view pictures of it and then scold him for letting it get infected.
Is he actually letting it get infected?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I have to tell him, like, I will not converse with you for another week until you show me the antibiotic. Like, it gets green. It's pretty, yeah.
Wow. I wonder where that, do you have any idea, like, because do you have a relationship, where that's coming from for him at all? Like, what would you?
I've asked why, and he has said, I don't know. I just like it. I'm like, okay, no judgment. I'm just curious because it's very different.
No, I think somebody listening to this in the future just went into a ditch. So like, of course, it's very, very, very interesting. So yeah, no. Okay. So that's the most out there thing that you've got. And what is it? Is it primarily just the mom stuff and the teacher stuff? Because I feel like those are two really popular things. Is that usually what the your day-to-day looks like on OnlyFans?
Yes. They love the domination. They want me. I get a lot of jerk off instruction requests to be mean mommy and yell at them. And I'm not a mean person. I can be if you mess with my kids or my family.
Sure.
But yeah, they love the domination. Every so often.
They want you to dominate them.
Always. Yeah.
Okay.
99% of the time. Every so often I get someone that wants me to call them daddy. And I'm like, I do.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you're younger than me. I don't know. Maybe they want to dominate an older woman, and that's cool too. It's everyone's fantasy. Almost anything goes. I've had a lot of things, they break the terms of service, and can you pee in a bowl for me and show it to me? I'm like, no, I can't. First, I won't do that. Like, I'm very clear. I won't just do anything for the money.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, other girls do it and they just send it to me on Twitter. I'm like, yeah, hard pass. Never.
Yeah. I mean,
no bowls of pee for me.
Yeah. You got to have your own boundaries. Like, someone without boundaries isn't just like, it's not like great. It's fucking dangerous for everybody. Right. Because that can get carried away. I mean, just imagine what they would be asking for next, right? That's just, whatever. I mean, that is fascinating. And maybe it's just your genre of porn, right? But like, I did see a statistic, and I'm trying not to fuck this up, right? But the statistic was that 60% of women want to be dominated by a man, and 40% of men want to be dominant in bed, which is there's a huge gap there, right? So that sort of speaks to that. To me, that's fascinating, because I feel like that's not, I just took a BDSM quiz and I came back, I'm like, I'm not surprised at all. It was like 100% like degrader and like all these things. And like, that's how I am. And I'm not assuming everyone else is like me. But it literally came back 100% dominant. And I think people just assume that men are that quiz result 100% dominant.
Yeah.
So that's very, very interesting. I mean, in your work, are you then like finding that out that more men, from your personal life and from your work, are wanting to be more dominated than do the dominating?
Only in my work life. The
Wow.
other way, yeah. Yeah. In my personal life, I've never been the dominant one.
Yeah. See, and so maybe they're coming over there because it is a specialty and they don't have to be embarrassed and all of that. Good for them. Yeah. And they're just dumping money in your account. So yeah, it's a win-win for everybody. That's great.
Yeah. And it's fun too. So sometimes I really get into it. And then there are times I have to stop the video and I'm like, I don't know if I can say this.
Oh my God. So that sort of brings me to my next question, right? Like when you first started doing it, and was there a level of like, ooh, this is exciting? Were you turned on? Were you having orgasms like doing this stuff? And then did that make you look back at your normal life and go, shit, like how was I missing all this before?
Well, as I said before, I was a serious hoe late high school, all of college. After grad school, like here and there, I had different periods of being promiscuous and just being wild. And so I don't feel like I've missed out on anything in my personal life. My personal life now, I haven't had like personal life sex in a really long time. I don't hook up. I don't go on dates. I haven't been on a date in 4 years, at least 4 years. And so my online life it's exciting. At the beginning, I was really shocked by all the different shapes and sizes of dicks because I get dick pics. I get thousands of them a day. And I'll tell you what really surprised me are there's a very big population of small penis humiliation, SPH. They love to be humiliated about their penis. And I did not know that. I didn't know what a JOI was, jerk off instructions. There were a lot of things I didn't know. And I do now, and but I don't think at all that I missed out. I definitely didn't. In fact, my daughter got married over New Year's, and so my college friends were in town, and they're the ones I got wild with, and they were saying, like, what are you up to now in your personal life? I'm like, nothing. I'm all fucked out, like in my personal life, and they're not the least bit surprised. They weren't surprised that I'm doing what I'm doing now, because I was wild when we were all living in the college times. But anybody since then was like, are you kidding me? Her? Because I was so presented as so vanilla.
Yeah, but I think, my intuition tells me that maybe that's like, it's, I've said this before, I actually have an episode called this, but it's always the fucking quiet ones, right? It's always the ones that are like and you want to see them go wild. The neighbor, somebody working at the fucking deli, like whatever it is, those are the ones that are the most fun. I kept asking, when I look back at my personal sex life, it was always the teachers, right? That or like the fucking librarians or whatever, that would be, once we got home and back from the club, they would be like, holy shit, wild in bed. And I think I had a guest tell me, because they're holding that in until they don't have to anymore, and so that's why, right? Which again is like incredibly fascinating. And I think it's great. It fits right into your genre. And I think like all of this is fascinating. What is something with OnlyFans, like, say there's people in the audience that want to start an OnlyFans, they want to do things the right way, they want to do things safe. Like, how do they start their own with the fear, right? Also, like with how do they promote it without, do they have to use their personal and all of that?
Yeah. My first recommendation is to never use your personal name. It's a safety issue. I never connect. I'm sure there are many people who know my real name. It's not, but I don't use that. And everyone's been pretty respectful of that. I created a stage name and a persona, and I'm very careful and very cautious with who I share my real life with and who I share my work life with. But I keep everything very separate. I have personal social media profiles, and that's just for my family and my really close friends. There's never crossover, ever, ever, ever. And I've had friends that have done it. They've gotten burned in a variety of ways. And, one of them had to go to custody court. I don't think it holds much weight because, that's
Sure.
neither here nor there. But my first recommendation is content, content, content. You will never, ever, ever have enough content. So if you plan on starting an OnlyFans and you start today, you will not have enough content until at least June. So just every opportunity you get, take a picture. Every time you go in the bathroom, picture, brushing your teeth, little clips. If you decide to take the plunge, go and talk to your family. And, if you care about how they feel or if it's going to bother you if they stop talking to you. Mine didn't, so I wasn't, I got lucky. But content, and then start your social media profiles as you're building this content and post and engage with your audience. Always have stories running on your Instagram, post on Instagram, make reels, post on Twitter, get a Reddit, get a TikTok, get 2 TikToks for when your first one gets banned.
Right, of course.
I've been taken down. I've lost so many Instagram and TikTok accounts, and it's just been really frustrating because TikTok used to be the number one route to OnlyFans. You used to be able to put your OnlyFans link in your TikTok bio. And there was a day I had a video go viral on TikTok, probably in like September of 2020. There were 8 new fans coming in a second. I grabbed a friend of mine. I'm like, you got to get over here and see this. This is fucking amazing. Look at this. And they were like, whoo, they just coming in and flying in from TikTok. And then TikTok shut us down. And, you could have a link tree. Well, then you weren't allowed to have a link tree. But get a link tree, put your links in there, build up your social profiles, and do not launch your OnlyFans until you have enough content, because you'll never be able to play catch up if you start too soon.
Yeah. And also too, there are ways to not go on to your normal, you just have to, like you said, people are like, well, if I don't use my normal, no one will know. Well, yeah, your normal audience won't, but you're right. You're not just building an OnlyFans, you're building those 2 Instagrams, those 2 TikToks, that Reddit thing. All of that is building. And to be honest, I feel like you should go teach a course in just social media, because from the beginning of this interview, everything you've said is bang on with how you build a fucking empire on digital. And I think, that comes from you being intelligent and your background in marketing and all of that stuff. It plays right into the brand. So if someone's listening and they don't want to start an OnlyFans, this is how you get big on any platform, is just to be fucking relentless,
Yeah. It's funny you should say that, because I was waiting for you to say, what can we expect to see from you next? And what I'm doing next is I have a backup Instagram page, of course, and I am actually going to start converting that into Mrs. Robinson social strategy. And I've been trying I'm trying to roadmap it. I need to just start it, because when I play the tape all the way through, the audience I have there isn't there for social tips. But some of them could benefit from it. And I can leverage that audience somehow. I need to have it all fit together in my head before I can get it live. But I'm going to convert that into a social thing to show people, because people are constantly asking me, how do I grow this? When should I do this? What time should I post? What should I have in my content? And so that's what I think I'm going to do there.
Yeah, I think that is one of the most brilliant things that I've heard on this show ever, because the brand fits that, and it can be you teaching, right? And there's all these younger, 18, 19, 20-year-old women who are coming into the OnlyFans game that are, all these people, which is my next question, are like trying to grab them up and do something with them, right? You can teach them how to build their stuff for that. And then there's people that are just like normal people who are like, oh, here's somebody fun and cool and tongue in cheek who I can get socials. Yeah, I think that's fucking amazing because it hits everybody, you know?
Thank you. I needed to hear that because I just need to, pull the trigger. I just need to do it. So thanks for saying that.
No, I think that's going to fucking kill. So at this point in the story, you are crushing on OnlyFans. And then you broke into mainstream porn. Mm-hmm. How did it happen? Because this is really cool because most people are going the opposite way. They're like coming out of mainstream and doing OnlyFans and you're going in. So this part of the story, I can't wait to hear.
Yeah. So this is interesting. I embarrassingly purposely trolled browsers. This is what happened. I knew from a social perspective, if I tagged browsers that I would get somebody's attention. And that's what I did. I said, 6 people today told me I should be on browsers, and I tagged browsers and hashtag browsers. And immediately Kieran was like, I agree. Come to LA. And I was like, that works.
Oh my God. And for people who don't know, Kieran Lee is a legend in the porn business.
He has a penis that's insured for $1 million and I couldn't understand why. And then I shot with him and you can get that scene on my OnlyFans. Head on over.
There you go. Right. So, okay. So you tag them and then within what, an hour, 15 minutes a day? Like how fast was the response?
Within an hour.
Okay. So they're like, hey, so then what happens? Because I love this.
Kieran reached out to me and he's like, hey, I'm a director. And this is kind of funny. So my daughter just got married and her husband is a porn aficionado. He would kill me for saying that. But remind me to tell you the funny, well, I'll just tell you now and then we'll go back to Kieran. Sure. So when we were all out in LA, I was going to shoot with Cherie, and Cherie DeVille is my son-in-law's end all be all. So I got there. I go, listen, I need you to do me a solid. We're going to FaceTime my son-in-law. Are you okay? She's like, fuck yeah, let's do it. So we FaceTime, and it was my 51st birthday. We were in LA. We were staying in the Hollywood Hills. My son-in-law's in the jacuzzi, answers his FaceTime. He's like, hey, is everything okay? And she goes, hey. And he went, oh my God. Like he was dying. And I was cracking up. It was so amazing. And he's calling his boys back in Ohio, like, you will never guess who just FaceTimed me. But anyway, I called, it was so cool. And I called my son-in-law. I'm like, hey, this guy, Kieran Lee. He's like, yeah, he's the man. And I was like, okay, cool. So Kieran said, come out to LA. I flew out to LA. They booked me with browsers. I shot with, Kieran directed the scene of me with Van Wild. It did really well. It's called Mom's Got Big Naturals, I think, or Big Naturals. I don't know, whatever it's called, but it was a really cool scene on browsers. And then after that scene came out, all of the other directors started reaching out to me, and I got to shoot with, Mike Quasar and Ricky Greenwood and all the good, like, there aren't a lot of us that are my age that just got there. I don't know anyone else who started at 50 in mainstream. Yeah, they're there. There are 50-year-olds, but, and I could be wrong. I'm always corrected. Well, what about Susie Mel or whatever? I'm okay. Sure. I'm sorry, but it's not very common. There are a lot of, the younger girls, they have a harder time because there are just so many of them. It's not impossible if they launch everything properly, but it's a lot easier if you're older. And so then I shot with, Ricky Greenwood and Mike Quasar for MILF.com and Misha X. And then I always had people reaching out to do podcasts. And, I was on the circuit. I figured it out. Last year I did 36 podcasts. And so I was flying from PA to LA or Vegas or Miami constantly. But the cool thing, I would bring my family with me. It wasn't like back in corporate America where they would stay back. They would come with me and they would hang out and do whatever they did. And I would just go off to work and then come back and, we'd have dinner. So that's always nice. We still kind of do that when I'm out there. So so mainstream's been cool, but I don't want to do too much mainstream because if you can get it on mainstream, come to the OnlyFans, and there's a very thin line there.
Yeah, and I feel like but you're right. It's just like such a balance, because it teeters one way or the other too much, and then it's upset, and you got to figure that out. Going back to your first time on a porn set, like take us people who haven't been on a porn set before. First of all, were you nervous, right? But like, give us the little details. You show up. They send a car for you at the hotel or something, and then the car takes you, or.
I think what I did was I rented a car. They paid for everything, but they flew me out, paid for the hotel, and I think I rented a car and they paid for that too. And then they told me where to go. I was staying very close by the shoot house. Wherever you shoot is called the shoot house. And I was the first one there. I'm always very punctual. So I was the first one there. And, Van came, the makeup artist. It's very professional. Everything, I felt very comfortable. Of course, I got tested first, and that's of utmost importance. All porn stars are tested every 14 days, and then your results go into a system where everyone can see that you've passed the tests, and you can see when you're there, okay, everyone's clear. And what was really cool, they ask you, what's on your no list, what isn't okay. And, that's where I said, no anal sex, don't pee on me, stuff like that. Right. Anything else, let's do it. So that was cool. But I think one of the misconceptions, there's a lot of picture taking, and a lot of the day is getting into certain positions and posing. And no, more of an O face, getting those done. And then the actual go time, I'd say, is like 10, 15 minutes of that. And the rest of it is semantics of pictures and little video clips and for the promotions. And then afterwards, they ask you, did anyone coerce you? Did you feel uncomfortable? And they do it on camera so that they're being held accountable. And, everyone's asses are covered, so to speak.
Wow.
Really.
Legally.
Yeah.
Right.
And I really liked that because I wouldn't have had a problem saying no, but I felt comfortable. I felt respected. The makeup artist was amazing. And they were just showing us shots throughout it. And I was doing a little social media stuff like, oh my God, you guys, I'm here shooting at Brazzers and posting it on my Instagram story. And the day lasted a long time. I got there at, I don't know, maybe 9 a.m. and I didn't leave till 3, which isn't that long. I did a 2 scene in one day for someone. I can't remember which one it was. But anyway, I think it was Misha X. It was 2 scenes in one day, and we had to be there at 8 a.m. And about 1 o'clock, I said, hey, guess what's going on my no list? 2 scenes in one day. Mama can't hang anymore. I need
much.
a nap. It's too much. Yeah. And it wasn't even like we were having sex all day, but it was just the long day. It really was too much. And I don't want to not perform extremely well.
Totally.
So but by the end of the day, when I left there at 9, I was like, I have not been this tired in a really long time.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing about sex and sex work and sex culture that I'm finding out on this show as I do this podcast every week, but also like that is truly amazing. Porn and sex parties and orgies and all of these things tend to have more safety, more vetting, and more consent than anything out there in the normal world. And I think that it's really difficult for people to like fathom that. They're like, no, they don't. Everyone's a slut and dirty. And like, it's like, wait a minute. No. Because it's literally the opposite. I mean, there's always outliers in every, but for the most part, I mean, it sounds like that's been your experience, that it's been a really great experience.
It is. It has been my experience. I've only had one time I was on a set, and it was actually another woman on set that just, I was not impressed with her level of professionalism. Everyone's always professional. And she was a lot younger. And that's what it was. She was young, and I put her on my no list. I'm like, I don't want to work with her anymore. It was way too unprofessional for me. It was very, like slutty almost. And it's not like that. It's a very professional, fun, atmosphere when you're shooting a porn. And she was turning it for herself into this other thing. And I thought, I mean, I almost wanted to ask her if she needed mental health like recommendations because it was so out there. But at any rate, not to talk about anyone, but yeah.
Right. Well, we won't mention any names, but she was just trying to grab more attention, like making it more like loudly about her, or what?
She was making it more of a sexual environment, like when we weren't shooting with everyone. It was very it was very strange. I had never seen anything like it. And I had been on, many sets at that point. And if I haven't seen Alexis, Fox, or Cherie act in a certain way, anytime I see someone act in this type of way, that's opposite of what they do, I know something is off because they are the epitome of professionalism. And it was just gross. And I thought, ew, I'm so not into this creepy,
kind of a weird
sock between scenes or something. Like, that's not why I'm here. I don't come here to find love,
She missed the porn 101 class. She just skipped that whole fucking thing. And so I have to ask you about this because it's a big deal, but you worked with Johnny Sins. I feel like a lot of men and women love Johnny Sins, and that, somebody from his Instagram actually messaged me once, and I'm like, I feel like this is like a manager or something or whatever. But if not, hey, that's awesome. Because he is a legend, right? And so how did you get to work with Johnny Sins, and what was that experience like?
This is actually really cool. So Johnny Sins and I are both from the same area in Western PA. And when I was first promoting myself on TikTok, I put together this idea that I was his high school teacher, because I was a teacher. It's very believable. My fans know I taught, and he was just the right age to be in 10th grade during my second year of teaching in the same location. So I messaged him and said, hey, will you make a TikTok that you found your old teacher on OnlyFans or something? He's like, absolutely. And he's like, and I said, and we should shoot. He's like, absolutely. Let's get this to blow up. So it blew up so fucking much. I mean, it was insane. They're like, oh my God, Johnny Sins teacher. So we kept missing each other. Like, we would schedule, and then one of us would have something else going on. We had to keep rescheduling, and the momentum was building and building. When's the Johnny Sins scene? So now I'm getting like a little stressed out, and I'm watching his scenes, and I'm like, he's going to destroy me. I don't know. Maybe 10 years ago I could hang with this, but he's wild. Wow. So we finally meet. We finally go to shoot, and it was the only scene I've ever been nervous for because everybody was waiting for it. And he said to me, do you know you're my biggest collab request? Wow. I was like, what? That's fucking insane. Like, I am nobody. It was crazy. Oh my God. And we shot, it was great, and it killed. It still kills. And the scene was amazing. And I'll tell you what's funny. Oh my God, Dustin, you are going to appreciate this. So I live in a suburban area in Western PA where there are a lot of Karens. At my kids' school, like, I went to a school board meeting. There was a particular Karen who publicly posted on a very large public community Facebook page that I had sex with a former student. Now, I taught in this district. So everybody was like, I have messages coming in. This woman must be watching my porn, which cracks me up. I'll just say, hi, Kimmy, if you're watching.
Hey, girl.
Hey, how's your husband? I always fuck with her about her husband. But
yeah, you should.
But she posted this. I had to go before the school board and explain, no, I just do porn, and I did porn with Johnny Sins. And the guys were like they knew it was not true, that this was a real thing. But this woman truly believed I had sex with someone who was a former student of mine, which had Johnny been a former student, it doesn't really matter now.
Sure.
You know, because we're older. I mean, you know, people would say, oh, that's creepy, you're a predator or whatever they say. But it wasn't true. It was porn. And she made this big, my attorney had to file a cease and desist. She had to take it down. And by this time, I'm a member of some committees in my school community. They're messaging me out of concern that this is true. And I'm having to tell all of them, no, it's just porn. And I'm sending them a link to me and Johnny Sins. And I'm like, no, this is Johnny. And I'm like sending them Johnny's Wikipedia. And I'm like, he's a porn star. We just pretended I was his teacher. It was so fucked up. And I thought, this is crazy. Leave me alone. Like, how would you think that's real?
That is because this is why you're such a fucking marketing genius. Look at what happened because of your marketing idea. You're before a school, but please tell me that's on tape somewhere, you standing before a school board.
And
because
she
you
was
could
shouting,
use
hey, Mrs. Robinson.
Oh my God.
And I turned around and said, oh, you should check your husband's DMs, honey.
See, we need all of that to be like released on YouTube or something. That's fucking brilliant. And that just goes to show how fucking good you are. It went that far, you know,
where
like
have you been
fucking
all my life, Dustin? Seriously.
I've been here making podcasts and, you know, chopping my way through this little podcast world, but we're friends now, so you're gonna get all the positive reinforcement. Because I think you deserve it. I think it's what you're doing is saying so much about where we are culturally, and after this weirdo time in history that's not quite over, and there's like you are seeing and experiencing things that I think people are afraid to talk about, are afraid to dive into, and here we are having a fucking conversation about it, and everything you say, my passion fires up and I'm like, fuck, that's so awesome. And this is why I booked you, because I really wanted to fucking have this conversation.
Thank you.
The scene with Johnny Sins, is that on your OnlyFans, his OnlyFans? Is it for a company? How does that work? How can people find it?
You can, it's exclusive to our OnlyFans, so come to mine, not his. He has enough. I'm kidding. Just kidding, Johnny. If you're already following him, you can get it from him. But come to my page. I will give you a discount on the Johnny Sins video if you say that you saw me on this podcast.
Hey, we love that.
Yeah, but it's 20-some minutes of just full-on pussy pounding and a gorgeous cream pie.
So you had fun with that one. You got over the nerves, and it was a good time.
Yeah, it was so funny. Like the intro to it, we just kind of were winging it, and of course, it's in the classroom. And I think I've done 12 scenes in a classroom, like my back from the desk. But anyway, so the beginning was Mrs. Robinson. And I'm like, Johnny Sins, how have you been? I'm so proud of you. You're, an astronaut, a doctor. And he was like, but the one thing I didn't accomplish. And I said, I did give you an A, so maybe you can give me the D. That's how we started it.
See, that's just fucking pure classic porn, right? We love that. We love that. This will probably be a clip too. We'll probably clip that. That's fucking awesome. See, and I hear he's amazing too. I hear he's such a nice guy. So maybe I was messaging with him on Instagram. I don't know. I'll have to go back and look.
Message me the one that you have, because his is something like something bald man. That's the only one that is his.
Okay.
And you'll see I'm following the only one that he is. He's following me too. So it's like most something bald man.
Right. Yeah. No, I definitely will. Before we wrap this up, I want to touch on the fact that you were nominated for, is it Best MILF or Hottest MILF of the Year? Was it 2022? So it was last year?
Yeah, last year and this year.
Congratulations. And this year. Holy shit.
Yeah, 1 year into it. Well, 2021, and then this is 2022.
Yeah. Because they had the awards in January? Did you go to...
No, my mom isn't well, so I wasn't able to leave town for it, but I'll be there next year. Yeah. But and then last year we had AVNs on Zoom.
Yeah.
I got dressed up and everything for it because I was like, it's my first award nomination.
Fuck yeah. Pop that popcorn. Yeah. We love that shit. You might see me because I might actually go next year to like do some podcast stuff. So whatever. We'll have to link up and shoot some fun shit. Okay,
Absolutely.
So, I have this segment. It's called The Burner. It's like 10, 12 questions. They're sort of rapid fire. You can go through the burner or you can say, no, thank you. They're silly. They're a little more whatever, but nothing that you're going to have a problem with.
Bring it.
Question 1. Name something that you wish men would stop doing.
Am I supposed to be answering quickly?
You can. You don't have to. People have their own way of doing this, but like you can think however long you need to think. Something you wish men would stop doing.
Calling women bruh.
Okay, love that. And name something you wish women would stop doing.
Being codependent.
Love that one too. Name something you wish you would stop doing.
God, how much time do we have? Staying up too late.
Okay, that's one of mine too. Have you ever been to a sex party in real life?
No.
Okay. So favorite guilty pleasure.
Toss up between Virgil's cream soda in the bottle and my vibrator.
Backstreet Boys or NSYNC?
Backstreet Boys.
Okay.
I was hoping to tell you about that off camera.
Okay. Oh yeah, I can't wait to hear that. One of your craziest sex stories. See, for you, I mean, you can just say whatever you want because you have your work and your personal. So, like, one of your craziest sex stories you were involved in.
In college, I had sex on the 50-yard line at Pitt Stadium. And one time a guy purposely spilled wine on me to take me back to, or beer or whatever it was, to his place. And he brought out a guitar and was strumming it. And I was like,
wow.
Please put the fucking guitar down. I'm a sure thing. And I want to get back to the bar. Let's fuck.
Yeah. No, Jesus Christ. Wow. Flaming hot or probably not. So are you a fan of like flaming hot, like snacks and shit or no?
Yes.
Okay. Great answer. Most used app on your phone.
Instagram.
Okay. Best kind of music to bang to?
Old school rap.
Love that. That's fucking great. A porn star that you have not worked with yet that you want to work with?
Angela White.
She's a good one. Yeah. She's a legend too. Do you have a Finsta? Do you have a fake Instagram account that you use? Okay. Final question. You don't have to say who they are, but say something to one of your exes.
Remember when you called me a prude? Checkmate, bitch.
Mrs. Robinson, thank you so much for being with me on Sex Party. Let's tell all of these wonderful people where they can follow you on social, where they can show up and dump all their money, their hard-earned coins into your purse.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Dustin. First of all, I appreciated it. It was so much fun. And you can find me on OnlyFans.com/Mrs. Robinson VIP. You can also find me on Instagram, Mrs. Robinson XOX. And I'm on Twitter, Mrs. Robinson XO. Make sure if you saw this podcast, mention it on my OnlyFans and I'll send you a special free treat.
We love that. Thank you so much. They're going to love that too. I would love to have you back in the future, so we'll have to work on that. Thanks for being here. Yeah,
my
awesome.
Pleasure.
We'll talk soon.
Okay. Thank you.
I mean, did I not tell you how wild was that? Thank you to Mrs. Robinson for being on the show. Her and I get along amazing. We are going to do some stuff in the future. She will be back, I promise. If you're enjoying guests like Mrs. Robinson, if you want more guests like Mrs. Robinson, if you're enjoying Sex Party and all my shenanigans still, there's a couple different ways you can show that love, that appreciation, that desire for more. If you're listening on platforms like Apple and Spotify, you could subscribe to the show. That's the most important. You could leave a rating. You could leave a review if you feel like it. You don't have to. If you're watching on YouTube, blah, 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 blah. If you're watching on YouTube, I love you. I see you. I appreciate you. If you're on YouTube and you're watching and you're enjoying yourself, you could like the video, You can subscribe to the channel. You could leave a comment. As always, you can reach out to me in the DMs on Instagram, and I will see you right back here next week.
Thanks for listening. The party continues next week. Click subscribe and let's make this a regular thing. Follow the show on Instagram and Twitter @SexPartyFM. Follow Dustin @DustinRybka.